The Xbox Drive is powered by patrons at patreon.com/YumiCapri. And I want to say thank you to all of our patrons over there, especially our Diamond executive producers, Jonathan Brown and Slimer Snarf, our Platinum producer, Dallas Ford, and our Gold members, Argo, Ashley Nicholson, James Johnson, Gene K, Marcus O'Neill, Skinny Matt, Trucker Sloth, and Xavier Reyes. Thank you, everybody, for all of your support. Hey everyone, it's me, Sean Capri. I'm in my car and you're listening to the most horsepowerful podcast on the internet. It's the Xbox Drive. I'm on a Skype call with my friend Ryan Turford, the man on the moose, and on our journey today, Phil Spencer had Kojima stuff in the background, so that must mean that he's buying all of Japan Studios. So jump on into the Xbox Drive. Ball, that made no sense. Ball!
Greater than X.
Hello, Sean Capri.
What am I even talking about, Ryan Turford? How are you, my friend?
I'm doing well. What is even in this life that we're doing?
I don't know. I can't believe people tune into this, to be honest with you.
Well, no, this is what happens when we record a podcast at 11 o'clock at night. It's stand time because this is what we call Xbox Drive After Dark, Sean.
After Dark.
Where all the weirdness happens.
Yeah, like where all the, like none of the stores are really open. Like you can go to like really just 24-hour drive-through. I could have gone. Here's the deal, man.
But you clearly don't live in Toronto where like everything's open all the time.
But I mean, like when it's really late. I mean, like what is it called when you go to like a liquor store? It's like after hours. There's a whole thing. We used to do it all the time. Ryan Turford, let's talk about games, man.
I'm very excited. So real quick, before we talk about games, let's clean the garage a little bit because of course we got our two major plugs that we got to throw out here. Number one, Halo Saturdays still happening. Of course, youtube.com/the Xbox Drive. You can come watch, or you can become part of the action with us. Come play Halo with us every Saturday night, 10:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every Saturday night. We mostly play Halo 2 and 3. So if you're playing on PC, just make sure you have those installed. Otherwise, just install Master Chief Collection on Xbox because it's cross-platform and everyone can play together and it's great. If you would love to be part of it, all you have to do is just join our Discord server, which is free to join, the Yumi Capri Discord, and then we can hit you up with all the details there. Just ping myself or Sean, and we will get you in the games with us. Otherwise, you can come watch, and those are actually going to be archived on the channel as well. So if you ever want to go back and watch Halo Saturdays, because we actually almost do like a podcast meetup while we're playing Halo with a bunch of other content creators.
It's awesome.
You can actually go watch that on the channel as well. Other thing that we want to throw out there, of course, if you'd like to support the show, if you like what we do, please consider subscribing to us here on YouTube at youtube.com/the Xbox Drive. Even if you're just listening on the podcast feeds, because of course that subscribing helps us go a long way. But also, we do a lot of cool stuff on the YouTubes, like Halo Saturdays, like the video version of this show. So we would appreciate your subs there. And of course, when we hit 500 subscribers, we are giving away a 1-year code for Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. When we hit 500 subscribers, and all you have to do to enter is just subscribe to the channel. That's it. You're all entered and ready to go. Also, if you'd also like to support the show, we are on Patreon as well. Patreon.com/YouMeAndCapri. Throw a little tip in the tip jar. You get this show early. You get exclusive podcasts, including the Patreon podcast for Patrons podcast, as well as the Me and Capri podcast. So check us out there for more details. But Sean,
Ryan,
with all that out of the way, let's grab our 8 tracks, pop them in. It's time for the playlist because we got to get the show moving, my friend, because there's a lot of stuff to talk about. What did you play this week?
Can I tell you something, man? I'm still playing the medium. I thought I was further along than I am, but I'm still enjoying that.
I may have lied to you.
Talked about that's okay. I talked about that last week. I'm still really enjoying that. I'll be plugging away at that for a little bit. But dude, I've been playing The Division. Like I don't know what the heck is going on. Maybe it's just like the year that it is. But we're gonna be playing some old games right now, man. And Jace Plays Games, otherwise known as twitch.tv/BackerRidge. Fire that game up, and I'm like, man, I'll play some of The Division right now. And we did the whole, about the tower. I think it's called the Summit. There's like a tower, there's 100 levels that you're climbing up and just like killing bad guys. And it's almost like a horde mode, but not. It's very The Division. And I don't know what any of the menus mean or what any of the gear is doing, but we're just shooting bad guys and having fun in The Division, man. And I'm playing on PC. Technically, I'm playing on PC, still waiting for some crossplay to happen there. But that's kind of where I'm at, dude. Like I think it's going to be just a lot of multiplayer over the next little bit. How about you?
Yeah, I think so too. I'm kind of in the same camp as you. And also, the weirdest thing about your Division story, Sean, is that you would think you'd be playing the console version because it just got the big fancy patch to make it look all pretty and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But no, you're playing on PC. get like a dork.
I've been having the
bizarre.
60 frames this whole time, man. What do you want from me?
Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, speaking of old games, Sean, I dove into an old multiplayer game this week. I played a ton of it. I'm wearing my Overwatch hat for a reason because I've been playing a lot of Overwatch this week, Sean.
Wow, nice.
A lot of Overwatch. So fun story. The reason I kind of fell into this was actually because you and I did this weird test stream where we were testing some new tech that we're kind of working on a couple weeks ago. And the game that I played on said tech stream was Overwatch. I decided, I'll just jump into a game of Overwatch for the first time in 2 years. I'm sure nothing will be any different, completely different from when I played it back in the day. But it was so awesome that I really reconnected with it.
Nice.
And I've been deep in Overwatch ever since. I've been playing it a ton. It's all I've been doing pretty much when I haven't been playing the other 2 games I'm going to talk about on other platforms in just a second. I'm going to touch on them briefly. But Overwatch has been so fun to revisit. Again, it's a game that I spent hundreds of hours playing before, and I loved it back then when it first came out. And I kind of fell off the game again for about 2 years, but now I'm back pretty much playing every single night and having a great time with it.
I love it.
I love playing
Who's
Overwatch.
your main? Who are you playing as?
So most of the time, I usually jump into the healer queues because you get a game faster.
Yeah.
So I usually play as Zenyatta. He's kind of my main as a healer. But my main, the person that I if I had an optimal choice, Sean, of any character, it's Pharah because I like jetpacks and I like rocket launchers.
Who doesn't?
Exactly. Plus, she gets a costume that makes her look like a mech. So I mean, come on, that screams Ryan Turford right there. So
I love it.
I love playing Overwatch a lot. And other 2 games I've been playing a lot of Persona 5 Strikers, which again on PlayStation. But I'm not going to dive too into that. But I've kind of fallen off with that game because as much as I'm loving it, it was a bad idea to play all of Persona 5 Royal and then try and play this game because now I'm kind of Persona'd out.
You don't
at
say.
this point.
Yeah. No
So.
doubt.
I kind of did break. And then the other game that Sean played a lot of last week too, Project Triangle Strategy.
Yes.
Sean.
Game of the year.
I played the demo for it, and man, that game is awesome.
Can I tell you something? Can I tell you something about the Project Triangle strategy bit?
Sure thing,
And
Sean.
the whole. I did a tweet last week that I said make sure that you apply Pythagoras' theorem when applying the right triangle strategy. Supremely underperforming tweet, man. Can I just say, like, I think people need to go back to like their grade 7 math. Okay. You need the whole. Do you know what I'm saying? The Pythagorean theorem.
Was the dadliest of dad jokes.
Thank you. I'm just saying. I bring it back here. You know, when the tweet doesn't work on Twitter, you bring it to the podcast. You know. What I'm saying?
Did the official Project Triangle Strategy Twitter account like that tweet? Because I know they followed you.
I don't think they on Twitch. Yeah, I don't know who it was. I think somebody. I think it might have been Jonah. Fired up a Project Triangle Strategy Twitch account, and that they're going around following people. But you do that game is actually pretty good. You know,
it's a game that I'm very jealous of Nintendo fans. I wish that game was on Xbox.
Yeah,
because that game is awesome,
and it's gorgeous.
And I can't wait for the version. All right, well, Sean, let's slam the brakes on this conversation. It's time for some breaking news.
Wow.
See, I did something.
It's almost like a combo breaker.
That's how you can tell this is Xbox Drive After Dark because I'm doing weird stuff like that.
Just running out of gas.
We got so much stuff to talk about, Sean, because oddly enough, the Nintendo Direct and BlizzCon happened this week, which meant we actually got some Xbox announcements out of both events, and that's kind of where most of this news is coming from. We're going to start with the first one, and this one was kind of odd that it didn't get announced right away, was coming to Xbox, but then later got an announcement. Fall Guys, Ultimate Knockout, is actually coming to Xbox, Sean. It's coming to Xbox One and Series X and S sometime this summer. We don't have an exact release date. They've already confirmed it's not coming to Game Pass day and date. I don't know why they're not doing that, but that's fine.
You got to think that you'd hold off, though, right? Like, you got to think it's coming later and maybe, like, you know, don't buy a day one. I don't know. That's a terrible thing to say out loud, especially on a podcast. And, like, you want the game to do well, but, like, we're kind of... We do things a little differently here in Xbox land, you know? And I don't know. I'd love to hear if anybody has comments on this. Like, you kind of expect this game to come to Game Pass, so what do you do in this case? I like this game quite a lot, you know? And I don't know. Like, I bought Rocket League everywhere, and then it went free to play, and I don't feel bad about that at all, you know? So I'm probably going to end up getting this day one. I imagine it will be whatever date it came out on PlayStation last year plus a day. Like, that's got to be the date, right?
Something like that, yeah, because all they said was this summer, and it came out last summer.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it was like in August.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
probably going to be
July,
sometime
August.
this August.
Yeah.
So
did you see they're getting Cuphead costumes? I don't know if that's in the doc.
I
too.
did.
Yeah, man.
That was really interesting too. And again, we don't have a release date for those. I think they're part of season 4, which is coming up, which is a weird like futuristic
But
expansion.
that should
for
be
Fall Guys.
exclusive. There should be something. It's like the whole like, Lincoln Soul Calibur or whatever. Like they got like special, I don't know. They're just letting all these things go. And I know it's the whole like let the franchises be accessible to more and more people, but golly, it's tough, man. Something like Nintendo's got really special franchises, PlayStation's got real special franchises, and then Xbox just puts everything on everything. I'm conflicted about it, man. It's more than a tweet, and I don't know if we have time to really talk about it, but
Well, I mean, you never know. I kind of rushed this at the beginning, so we have time to simmer a little bit. But here's the thing. I think that this game, I'm really excited for it to come to Xbox, but I am a little worried that the audience is going to be pretty small for it because, again, there's not going to be cross-play. And I think after a year of the game being out, we've already seen the game lose a little bit of steam. I don't know how many people are really going to be part of this ecosystem on Xbox. And this is a game that really thrives or really needs a large player base to be successful.
Yeah.
And I'm a little worried that it might be too little too late. But I'm like you. I'm probably going to pick it up when it comes out because I love playing it on PlayStation. Because we did play it a lot with a lot of our friends, and I am really excited to play out on Xbox, but I'm a little worried that it might not stick the landing, unfortunately. And it might just end up in Game Pass in 3 months just to get the player base up. Or maybe it will need cross-play to kind of get everyone in there to make it be the game it needs to be when it comes to the console. Well, next up, let's move on to BlizzCon because we got some cool announcements from BlizzCon, Sean. Diablo 2, Sean, is coming back in the form of Diablo 2 Resurrected. It will launch on Xbox One and Series X and S, as well as PC and pretty much every platform under the sun this fall. And Sean, how dope was that trailer for Diablo 2?
man, it's perfect. It's actually, I mean, there's a couple things that we'll chat about, I'm sure, but just like Diablo 2, like, it's funny that we say like that's the game that started it all. It's like, well, literally the first one probably started all of this, but Diablo 2, such a huge deal. I look at that gameplay, and even though, it's now coming to consoles, I hear clicks, I hear mouse clicks, just click. Dude, I'm so excited. I want to learn more about it. I only saw the trailer. I'm sure they've dove in a little bit deeper into it somewhere else, but like the thing that made Diablo 3 work so well, and I think that it actually just catapulted even beyond what Diablo 2 already had done, was the especially when it came to consoles, you could have that couch co-op thing happening where like that just made things so much fun. I don't know if they're adding that. It does seem like a pretty significant revamp.
I have details for you, Sean.
Okay. These are my questions. But otherwise, dude, like I just love the way that they're able to show this is what it looked like, and now it basically looks like Diablo 3, honestly. But it seems darker to me. Like Diablo 3 kind of got a little bit. I don't know if the word is silly, but self-aware, and I don't know. But Diablo 2 is like to me, and Diablo 1. Terrifying stuff, man. Like I remember, like I was just a little boy. I'm like, oh, this game's about the devil. I don't think I'm supposed to be playing this, and it was very, very demonic. And I think that they've maybe gone away from that with Diablo 3. I'm wondering what they're going to be doing with 4, of course. But that's like a huge reason I'm excited to go back to this one because it is quite a different experience than 3 as I remember it anyway. And lore driven and RPG driven. Like there's just that, the gameplay, I think that the gameplay of 3 is excellent, right? But the experience and buying into the atmosphere in Diablo 2, like that's really where it wins out, I think.
Yeah, Diablo 2 is a very mature game. And I'm actually really excited from some of the stuff they were talking about this because they actually had an entire panel about this at BlizzCon where they talked about it. So number one, to your couch co-op question, Sean, there is no couch co-op in this version of the game. It is online co-op only. I don't know why they did that. That seems
it's not a
weird to me.
huge deal. Like none of us are going out to anybody's houses anyways. But yeah, it just seems like, at least the online's got to be solid then. That's really all there is to it.
Exactly. And from what we saw from Diablo 3, which actually was pretty solid post-launch, I would imagine they're probably going to nail it with this one as far as the online goes. As far as the graphic style itself, Diablo 3 very much was going for like an all ages art style. Yeah. And actually it drew huge criticism when Diablo 3 was first announced because it was like almost like too kiddie.
Yeah.
And then they kind of like made it a little bit more like demonic. with the final version of the game. But it was still not anywhere close to the vibe of the original 2 games. And that's what they're trying to preserve with this version. And one thing that they talked about was cool that we kind of saw a little bit in the trailer is that if you like the old graphics, you can switch to them on the fly,
That's
like Master
awesome.
Chief Collection.
Yep.
So that you can have like the 2D version of the game that runs at like 800 by 600 on console if you want to. That's just getting blown up on your 4K TV,
Yeah,
which I thought was super interesting. They also talked about all the character classes. You have the same character classes that you had with the expansion. So you have the Druid and the Assassin as well as the 5 main classes. But what they did this time is they also added gender options for all the characters this time around, which you didn't have before in the old game. So we're going to have like different versions of, like we're going to have a female version of the Paladin, for example.
Nice.
Or like a male version of the Amazon. Like that's going to be interesting to see. And overall, they said the gameplay is going to be almost just as you remember, and all the tweaks pretty much are coming from the visuals. So expect it to be just the grindy kind of clicky experience that you remember from the olden days. Although they did say that you can turn some options on, for example, to simplify some of the gameplay, especially on consoles. Like, for example, instead of having to click on the gold on the ground to pick it up, you can just walk over it.
Nice.
You could have like an option turned on, just like in Diablo 3,
Yeah, nice
where you just have it
quality of life stuff.
vacuum into you. Same with items and other things like that. So it sounds like they're making all of the smart tweaks that they need to make, but also not messing with the formula too much. So I think this game's going to be a real winner this fall. And I think like this has got to be one of the biggest games this fall, I think.
Well, the funny thing is, it seems like every other game is getting delayed, or like who the hell knows what's going to actually come out this year. I was going to say, like, maybe you might want a game like this maybe in spring or summertime. It could maybe have a little bit more time to shine, but like God knows what the heck is going to be coming out in fall. So maybe it'll actually do okay. Obviously, Diablo is hugely successful. 2 things, Ryan. Number 1, cross progression, not cross play. So that means if I were to play on my Xbox and then go move over to PC, my characters on everything all move with me. So that's good. But not cross play, man. I thought we were like past this. I thought we were in a world where like this would just sort of be standard, especially in a game like this, and especially now. And we just chatted about Fall Guys as well. Like, what happened to this future? I thought we were already in.
Yeah, it's Activision. They never do cross play, Sean.
Yeah, man.
Actually, no, that's not true because they do it with Call of Duty.
I was just
they
going to
do
say, yeah, absolutely.
But it's only Call of Duty they do it with. They don't do it with Tony Hawk. They don't do it with a lot of their other games. So
yeah.
I mean, you would hope so, but I was a little disappointed when I heard that too, because I was like, this would be like the perfect game to play crossplay with, especially because it's coming to literally every platform.
Well, our friend Mr. Badbit over at the Trophy Room podcast, the PlayStation podcast made by the players for the players, he does a wonderful Deckard Cain. I want to play Diablo with him, but I don't think it's meant to be, dude. I don't think it's meant to be.
What if he just comes and sits in the Discord with you and just says,
he actually might do that.
Stay on, You'll probably actually do that on stream.
He does a great Deckard Cain. Yeah.
My God, I've never heard his Deckard Cain, but I could definitely see Joseph doing a good Deckard
man,
Cain.
he should get into voice acting, honestly. Like, he's excellent at it.
He does a lot of really good voices, actually.
Yes. Yeah, he should do it. That's his calling.
Yeah.
Also podcasting, very good.
That's true. Well, next up, that was BlizzCon. Now we got some other announcements that came a little bit later in the week, starting with Madden 21. Now that the Super Bowl's over, Sean,
Game Pass.
It's officially coming to Game Pass as part of EA Play on March 2nd. So in a week, we'll be able to play Madden 21 in Game Pass.
Did you buy this game?
Yeah.
So how do you feel about?
I mean, I played it a lot when it came out. So
yeah.
honestly, I think I got my money's worth out of it. So,
Sure.
Yeah.
But what are you going to do next year, knowing that this is sort of the way things go now with EA Play, or at least that's
well, I mean,
what
I'm
would
not the
assume.
type of person that buys Madden every year, anyways. But it just means that now that I know that it's part of Game Pass all the time, Sean, because actually when Madden came out, I don't think we had heard that EA Play was coming to Game Pass yet.
Probably not. Yeah. Yeah, it would have been right. It would have been close. Yeah.
Yeah, and I wasn't always subscribed to EA Play anyways, so I think that's why I felt a little bit differently about it.
Yeah.
When I bought it this year, but obviously now it's just like, now that I know it's coming to Game Pass, I can just wait.
Yeah.
The only EA Sports game I may buy ever going forward, because all the rest of them come to Game Pass, is NHL, because I like to have them when it comes out. But
well, just wait until that college football game comes out as well, man, in like 4 or 5 years. Dude, I heard a story. I was listening to the Xbox Empire, and Donnie he got a code for Game Pass, and he had some trouble with the code. He called into Microsoft to try and get this code applied, and they said, "We would love to do this for you, but we can't add any more Game Pass to your account. He's maxed out. He's got Game Pass until 2024 or something like that." Like
he's like Smog the Dragon. He likes to hoard things.
Dude,
He likes
hilarious.
to hoard game codes.
Yes. Okay, we need to get some artwork done with that, with Donnie's face on Smaug with a whole bunch
Now,
of...
I should throw it out there. That's not a Ryan Turford original. I pulled that from the best co-host in the business, Elaine, over at the Xbox Empire.
She's wonderful. Yeah.
I'm here for this. Next up, Sean, this announcement got me really excited. Then I heard more about it. I became less excited. The Ninja Gaiden Master Collection was announced for Xbox One and Series X and S.
Yeah.
It will contain Ninja Gaiden Sigma, Ninja Gaiden Sigma 2, and Ninja Gaiden 3 Razor's Edge, and will launch on June 10th. Sean, I got to take you on a little trip with this one. The reason why I was really excited for this and then was on a bit of a downer was that what's included in this collection, which is Ninja Gaiden Sigma 1 and 2 are the inferior versions of those games. And we already have those games, the best versions of those games on Xbox One backwards compatibility with Xbox One X enhancements. So they play in native 4K already at 60 frames per second with fast load times. So not only that, but Razor's Edge is just going to be the same version here as the backwards compatible version. So there's no changes as far as Ninja Gaiden 3 is concerned. So I was really excited to see that the Ninja Gaiden collection was coming to Xbox, but the Sigma versions of the games are actually, even though they release later, they're actually the worst versions of these games. So to give everyone a little bit of context is what makes them worse, the Sigma games were essentially the PS3 ports of Ninja Gaiden 1 and 2 that came to original Xbox and 360 respectively. The changes that they made, though, number one, they're censored versions of the game, because there was a lot of decapitations, for example, in Ninja Gaiden 2, a lot of blood splatter everywhere. All that's gone in that version of the game. There's also sections of the game that were either cut from the game because they didn't run well on the PS3, or there was a section in Ninja Gaiden 2, a famous section towards the ends of the game where you're climbing a giant staircase, and there's like 200 ninjas you fight on this staircase, and it's this really impressive scene where you're fighting like 50 dudes at a time. Like, it's just mass pandemonium, but they cut it from that version of the game. So, but it plays just fine on the backwards compatible version if you play Ninja Gaiden 2 now on Xbox. So this, not only that, but this package is $80 Canadian, Sean. So,
oh my God. Well, and it's not even the remaster collection. It's the master collection. Like, come on, man.
Well, they call it that because these aren't remasters, Sean. They're essentially porting these games. So they're not even really touching these up. So essentially, you're paying more money to get worse versions of these games.
Okay, so stay away.
So my advice for Xbox owners for this package is not buy this package. To buy the backwards compatible ones instead, because these games are amazing and you should play them, absolutely. But I think you should play them at their best, which is the original version or Ninja Gaiden 2. This is, however, a high mark for the series, though, coming to Xbox, because these games were previously exclusive to PlayStation, like these versions of the games. Yeah. So it'll be Xbox's owners' first time playing these versions of the game. But take it from someone who's played these games before, this is not the direction you want to go in.
What's with these lazy collections, man? Like, we've been doing this remaster thing for a long time, and like the bar is pretty high, and this is shockingly low. You know, from everything that you're describing to me, it's like we haven't seen anything like this lowbrow in a long, long time. But I mean, I think the market will speak, and be sure to let's set a reminder in our calendars to bring it up when this game releases. Just as people are like kind of getting excited about it, like you just go, don't do it.
Well, now here's a couple caveats I want to throw out there, Sean. Number one, I know we have people listening to the show all the time who actually mentioned to us that they listen to the show and don't have an Xbox. So if you don't have an Xbox, if you have a PlayStation or a Switch, then I think the Master Collection is actually a great pickup for you, because I think these are great games that, again, are inferior to the ones on Xbox. But if you don't have an Xbox to play them on, then absolutely pick them up, because I still think they're really fun.
That's amazing.
Regardless of that.
Back and on Xbox is so good that new releases that are good elsewhere are not so good over on Xbox, is basically what you're saying.
Exactly. Like for Xbox owners, this is a no-go, but for a Switch owner or a PlayStation user,
but for the
this is a no-brainer. Yeah, exactly.
Got it. Okay.
And the other caveat too is that they did add, to give kind of kudos points to these games. They did add some content because they added content with characters from Dead or Alive, like they brought in Ayane, as well as Katsume and Memoji, who are like 3 ninja characters from the Dead or Alive series, and they have like their own chapters in these games that are almost like DLC that they included.
Is
so
Memoji
you will
like
be
the
missing out
thing
on
I make
that.
on my phone? Like it's like the Memoji, like the Memoji.
Kind of like that, but no, really. She was actually in the Ninja Gaiden DS game, Ninja Gaiden Dragon Sword. So she uses a big staff and stuff. So they did have that going for it. But other than that, just if you're an Xbox owner, just play the backwards compatible versions because they're much better.
Yeah.
Last thing before we get to questions, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 is getting an Xbox Series S and X version that will launch on March 26th. This version will include a 120 frames per second mode at 1080p, or it will run in native 4K at 60 frames per second on Series X. On Series S specifically, you can run it at native 1440p at 60 frames per second, and it'll actually checkerboard up to 4K if you're playing it on a 4K TV, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
However, there's a catch to this upgrade.
It got smart delivery, right, Ryan? It's got smart delivery. It's going to be smartly delivered.
If you bought the digital deluxe version of the game or the physical version of the game, then yes, it has smart delivery and you actually get this upgrade for free. If you digitally bought the original version of the game, like the base version without the digital extras, you will have to pay $10 for this version of the game.
Because they didn't say that. Like we didn't know this was happening. They literally just announced it.
I know. I don't know why they did it this way. It's dumb.
They could have told us ahead of time. I mean, at least you're paying the difference when you're going to realize the benefit of it. I guess that's maybe part of it, but like they
the $10 difference is the same as what the difference between the digital deluxe version and the normal version was when it launched anyways. So it is the same. You're not really paying extra, but and it does, when you do pay for that upgrade, it does come with that same content that was in that version of the game.
So you net out the same.
Yeah, but it's still weird, man. Like I don't know. I don't get Activision because they gave Crash Bandicoot smart delivery. Like that's getting a Series X version soon. We talked about it on the show last week, and it's going to be day and date with that. Why didn't they do that with Tony Hawk? I don't understand it. It's so weird.
I don't know, man. It is funny because like I don't know how mad I am about it. Like I don't think that I really am, but it is just like you wanted it a little bit more consistent across like all developers, but it's just never going to really work out that way. And you also want to reward where it does happen. You want to support the developers and publishers where they are providing that smart delivery option. And so where do you stand on this though, dude? Like 120 frames on this sounds awesome. Like it sounds really, really good. But I never really like looked at this game and went like, man, I wish this looked better. Because it was an upgrade over the last game that we played. So it kind of already did that. But at the same time, I could see myself throwing $10 at this just to see what it does. You know what I mean? Like I feel like it might be part of the problem though.
I mean, luckily I bought the digital deluxe version when it came out.
Oh, so you're set.
I like some of the goodies. So yeah, I already have this version coming to me. So maybe I can give you advice as to whether it's worth picking up.
We should shoot like a comparison.
We could side by side. I'll have to set something up.
Yeah, we probably won't do that.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how many people are really going to take this upgrade. The one thing that I'm going to kind of sum up my thoughts on this are, I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
Just a little disappointed. Yep. Yeah,
That's it. That's all I have to say about that. But Sean, let's let some of our friends in the car with us. It's time for the carpool. We got a lot of questions this week, so huge shout out to everyone who wrote in questions this week because y'all got a lot of good ones in here. So we're going to go through them one at a time. We're going to start with Seumas MacIsaac at Famous Seumas, and he asks, somehow you have yourself a working time machine, but you can only use it to make one bad game better. What game would you make better with your future knowledge? Sean, is there a game that was bad that you think could be better?
No, you go first. I didn't look yet. Do you have anything? Oh, no.
So for me, honestly, the problem with this question is that a lot of the games that are bad, I like playing because they're so bad, they're good. So I can't, it's hard for me to think of a game that's so bad and that's just not worth playing.
Well, and I think like even more, I'm going to be selfless about this one because I like Halo 5. I really enjoy playing. I played through the campaign a couple of times. I know everybody in the world hates it.
But it's a bad game, Sean.
I know it's a bad. So this is why I'm being like pretty selfless about this. And the Time Machine is allowing me to allow Bungie 343 do a little bit of a do-over. So they could do Halo 5 over again. And then maybe that completely changes the trajectory for Xbox. You know, like it was just like one of, and there's probably a bunch on Xbox in the last generation that probably could have been or should have been like a lot better, you know?
Yeah.
Or even better appreciated, could be part of this conversation as well. But I think Halo 5 is kind of where I will go, that like I would make it, again, I liked it, but I would make it like using my Time Machine, I would make sure that it's a smash hit. Like it just like Halo 5 drops and it's like a meteor hits the ground, you know? It's just like this crazy event like Halo 3 was. And it's a return and it like removes all of the doubt that 343 can do their thing and like Bungie. I think that's what I would do with my Time Machine.
Oh, that's a good one. For me, I'm going to go along the similar lines, but this one already kind of redeemed itself. But with my future knowledge, Sean, this redemption will happen sooner and it will happen in a cleaner way. Because my pick is actually probably Ninja Gaiden 3, because Ninja Gaiden 3 was a terrible game when it came out. Ninja Gaiden 3 Razor's Edge, though, was a re-release of the game that added a whole bunch of content and made it better. And I would take the future knowledge of what Razor's Edge would be, go back to the developers and say, don't release the game you have, release this version instead. And then Ryan wouldn't have spent $60 for no reason when Ninja Gaiden 3 came out. Dude, I would have gotten a version of the game that would have been good. It would have been great.
We could spend an hour on this question. Now that I'm like got the wheels kind of flowing, like I would like the third Tomb Raider, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, to be quite a bit better. Like it's not quite as instrumental to the success of Xbox, but I love that series, man. I love the modern Tomb Raider games. I think that would be quite a bit better. Man, Battlefront 2 had a terrible single player, and definitely good. Battlefront 2, like with the multiplayer and all the remember loot boxes, like, and everybody was crazy about all that stuff. There's maybe go back and change some of that and get ahead of just making that not be so insane and predatory and everything. There's a lot of
Sean,
stuff.
I still play Overwatch. I can't forget loot boxes. Okay?
But that's the thing. I'm like, I thought we were okay with loot boxes because they're just like front and center in this game in Overwatch. Yeah, dude.
Yeah. Exactly. Next up,
good question.
Zero Skill at Zero Skill 1 asks, for you individually, what has been your favorite Game Pass entry so far? What's been one title that took you by surprise? Sean, is there any game from Game Pass that's been like a standout for you?
Oh my gosh, my phone just ran out of battery. I need to pull up my app, dude. What the heck?
While you pull up the app, I'll give you mine, because actually everyone kind of knows mine from last year, because it's Crosscode. Because Crosscode is my favorite entry in Game Pass, because that's a game that I might not have given a chance to if it wasn't for Game Pass. And the fact that it came to Game Pass day and date, and I mean, it's a game that I had my eye on and was interested. But like, I was like, I don't know if I need to play this right away. But the fact that it was in Game Pass right there for me, it's kind of sold me on the game.
Yeah.
So for me, it's Crosscode. It's definitely my favorite Game Pass entry, and it's probably the one that took me by surprise the most, because I didn't expect to love it as much as I did. So,
dude, you know how I panicked I get when people ask me for like my favorite thing of anything. Like Doom Eternal is on Game Pass, and Doom Eternal is freaking incredible. Like that is like, for as far as a shooter goes, I love me some Forza Motorsport 7 and all of the Halos on there, dude. Like, oh, this is a you know, I'll take this as like whatchamacallit, like a hidden gem. Lonely Mountains Downhill is excellent. And that's something that not everybody has played or is aware of. That game is super fun. Very, very unique, physics-based kind of, you basically just ride down a hill or a mountain on a mountain bike, and you can choose to find sort of secret paths or try and get down the mountain as fast as you possibly can. It gets progressively harder and you get progressively better. I think Lonely Mountains Downhill is really, really special. And I love when this happens, where a game will launch into Game Pass or kind of come to prominence through Game Pass. Then it'll go to another console platform and make some money over there. I think that's an example of one that I think ended up going to Switch somewhere else or sometime later. I think that'd be there. But like, dude, like how can we talk about Game Pass games without talking about Ori? Like both Ori games are top tier, some of the best games ever made. So I think like if we were talking about more objectively, those are probably the best games I would say on Game Pass. But dude, like The Medium just came out, The Outer Worlds is on there. Like there's There's so much, man. We could go on.
There's
and
too
on.
many games.
Yeah, that's
Too
a
many
hard
games on
question.
Game Pass.
I get a little paralyzed a little bit.
For sure. Well, next up, Jack Kozma at Third Hall asks, what game on arcade/PC would you like to see remade or get a remake on Xbox Series X? Mine would be Gauntlet Legends. I put tons of tokens into the arcade version and put many hours in on Dreamcast. So, Jack, I'm gonna start while Sean thinks about this a little bit because I've been kind of making him go first.
I haven't seen any of these questions.
I mean, for me, this first, like, as far as arcade games, I mean, I loved the days of Xbox 360 where we got a ton of arcade ports.
Yeah.
And just to see a lot of those ports come back, I would love to see. But ones that we didn't get that I would love to see are games like Alien vs. Predator from Capcom.
Nice.
Which was a fantastic beat 'em up game that they actually re-released in this weird, like, arcade stick that was like super expensive that you got in your home that was like a plug and play thing with your TV, but it never got released in like any other way, which is super bizarre. Otherwise, like a game like Dance Dance Revolution, I would love to see come back.
That's the correct answer, man. Good for you. Yeah, dude.
Yeah. I used to play that a lot in the arcades, and then I used to have the home version on PS2.
Yeah, I had on
those games a
Dreamcast, man.
ton.
We had the mats and everything. Holy crap.
Yeah, DDR would be my second choice, but Alien vs. Predator, of all the arcade games, that's the one that's missing that I was like, I wish came to consoles because it's so good.
Dance
What about you,
Dance
Sean?
Revolution, dude, that is amazing. Well, you know, there's a lot of old games that you're right, like a lot of old games have made their way back, and even like Street Fighter, I've got the collection on Xbox. I don't know if I want to go like too old, man. Have you ever played the Halo Fireteam Raven? Like the
No,
new,
I haven't.
It's excellent, man. I think that would be awesome to have available on consoles. I don't know exactly how it would work, but I think it would
Well,
be,
you would probably just use the controller as the cursor.
I suppose. Yeah. I mean, like, I'd like to see that, especially because we can't go to arcades right now. Like, nobody's going anywhere. I think that'd be dope, man. Definitely.
Very nice. I mean, we need more light gun shooters on consoles, and even though we can't have light guns on consoles right now on modern consoles, but love to see more of those.
Yeah.
Next up, Edward Varnell at That Retro Code asks, is Microsoft's value of gaming only for certain ages, or can their ecosystem be viable for everyone? Game Pass and cloud gaming cannot be the only answer to this, can it? So as far as games for everyone, I know that this is something Phil Spencer's talked about publicly, where he wants to bring in more e-games, whether it's from first party or third party, to the ecosystem, because it's something that he's cited multiple times that is lacking on the Xbox platform.
Yeah.
And I think you're going to see most of that come through Game Pass, where I think they're going to try, like, I think we're seeing it already, where we're getting like a larger variety of games. Like, it's not all M games, I think, coming to Game Pass day and date. But it's definitely something that it's lacking. And I know for me, this doesn't really affect it too much because, I mean, I'm an old man, Sean. It doesn't matter to me if e-games come or not.
Yeah.
But I know for a parent like you, that probably matters a whole lot, because eventually your kids are probably going to want to play Xbox. I would hope, Sean. Right?
Maybe.
So
Maybe
you'll want games to play with your kids. Maybe. What do you think about that?
This is a big question, and it's not as simple as, you know, you put e-games on your platform and then all of a sudden all those people are going to come over and play your games. Like, it means that you're stepping into the ring with Nintendo. Right. There's a reason that they haven't done this yet, and there's a reason why, like, it's difficult to do, because like that crowd has been claimed, man. And so that's number one. Number two is, I also don't think that Xbox has really owned its core audience quite yet either, and that's the one that is owned by PlayStation to a certain extent. So I feel like they're trying to attack this from almost like a third dimension, that it's not like the mature, quote unquote mature, like the gritty story driven narrative that where, you know, you fire up the game and you're crying about life, or a Nintendo where you're playing like a Mario game and the whole family can play. Like, it's different. It does seem like they're going for something else. These where they're trying to drive engagement and long-term participation in games, and that's a little bit different. And I do think along that angle and dimension that it does kind of span a wider variety of demographics for people playing games. So it's not like, you know, you need a mascot platformer in order to attract the kiddos. It's like, is something like Grounded a little bit more accessible to a wider variety of gamers? And I think the answer is yes. And the same thing with Minecraft. That was obviously an acquisition. So it does seem like they're doing it a little bit differently. It's not quite as in your face as like Super Lucky's Tale is going up against Super Mario. It's not quite like that. And I like that, but people, I think, need it to be that crystal clear in order for them to go like, okay, now they're competing in the same way. I don't expect them to do the exact same thing, exactly in the same way that Nintendo's not trying to go after the quote unquote hardcore gamers by putting like a Halo killer on their machine. Like they put a strong contender out there with like Breath of the Wild. Like that's their approach to gamers like you and me. I think that's Microsoft's approach. But yes, the other side of it, the cloud gaming is it. Yeah, is how you get it in front of everybody else, man. Everybody else with a tablet, or other
especially with
device.
touch controls too. I think that's an innovation on xCloud that we don't talk enough about, because I think that is how a lot of kids play games for the first time nowadays, where they play games on their phone with touch. So having that option be available for younger kids, I think is gonna probably be like do wonders in the long term.
The way that I see them maybe do, and then if we ran Xbox, Ryan, I know we're running long here.
Course.
If we ran Xbox, it'd almost be like how YouTube does it for like, you've got your regular YouTube and then you've got YouTube for kids, right? And I do think that when I throw a Switch in front of Lincoln, he's good to play whatever's on that thing. I don't think that I can do the same thing with Xbox, and I'm not sure that I want Xbox to do that unless they had sort of like you log in with this kid's account and you're just getting a kid experience. That would be maybe the only way that I would do it if I ran Xbox. I don't know if that answers the question, but that's kind of something that comes to mind for me when thinking about my kids playing Xbox versus maybe the Nintendo Switch or a tablet.
Yeah, for sure. All right, we got two quick questions, Sean. First one, Todd Oxtra at Toxtra asks, we talked about gaming pet peeves on the Co-op Mode podcast yesterday. What are your gaming pet peeves? Also, a note from Mark the CaNERDian about this question. I already gave a shout out to Sean Capri and his acknowledged hatred of not being able to invert control
Did my
sticks.
answer.
So you can't pick that one. Do you have any other gaming pet peeves besides that one? Because honestly, I don't really have too many gaming pet peeves. I mean, for the most part, there are certain genres that are kind of not appealing to me. But for the most part, as far as gaming pet peeves, I don't really have many of them, but do you have any, Sean, at all?
Well, the medium
besides
does.
inverting?
The medium does something that I can't stand, and it's I need full control over my save files. So thank you for making me think of something else, Mark Carabin. So with the medium, it's like it will autosave for you, which sounds super convenient, but you are only able to load up based on those autosaves. You get to a certain point, and then if you were to quit before achieving the next autosave checkpoint, then it doesn't matter even if it was like 25 minutes since the last autosave, you're going to revert back to that checkpoint. And I can't stand that. And it was the same thing with the suicide of Rachel Foster, I think it was called. Did the exact same thing. I realized I had lost about 45 minutes worth of progress because I just hadn't triggered whatever that next save point was. Gone. Huge pet peeve of mine, man. Don't waste my time. Don't you got to allow me to do that. Now, if this were a Nintendo podcast, I would be going on and on about some stuff with Animal Crossing that drives me bonkers, dude. But that's where I'm at with Xbox Land.
Okay. Real quick, mine is actually, I just thought of it now, like after playing Persona 5 Strikers, it was boss fights that require you to stun the enemy in order to hurt them. That's a big thing in JRPGs in particular, like Final Fantasy 13 did this. And now Persona 5 Strikers, for example, on PlayStation, I know it's not on Xbox, but other Xbox games do this in order to hurt the boss characters, because you'll do like 3 or 4 damage when you hit them instead of hundreds or thousands of damage that you would normally do. Yeah. You have to stun them first by like doing your like weakness like 10 times or whatever. That's real dumb. I hate that. I hate when bosses just stand there and laugh at you as you hit them for no damage because you have to stun them first.
There's so many.
Very annoying.
There's so many. I got to jump in here to say, like, when you play a multiplayer game and you don't bring like your current state, like it depends on who's the host of the game. That kind of stuff like drives me crazy. Like State of Decay 2 does this as well, where it's like I'll be a guest within your session of the game, and it like I don't really get too much benefit as the guest, and it's like that is a waste. That is a waste of time, man.
That's a good one, actually. I didn't think about that one.
There's lots.
Well, last question from Mark the CaNERDian at the CaNERDian. He asks, Kojima statue in Phil's office, epic troll, and he's trying to just fan, and he's just, this question's weird, wrong. Epic troll, and he's just a fan, or a real possibility for another big acquisition. If it's real, rate how upset Sony fans would be on a scale of 1 slap to the face to 10. Sean, there's no way that this is actually correct. I don't think that they're buying Kojima Studios. I think if this hints at anything at all, and I think people are just reading too much into this because they've been showing off things in the background and we've been trained to look for things. if this means anything at all, it might just mean that Kojima's next game is also coming to Xbox. I don't think this means they're buying them because, again, we talked about it before with Japanese studios. It's very hard to buy Japanese studios. Kojima made this whole thing when he became independent that he didn't want to be bought by another company, which is probably the reason why Sony didn't buy Kojima Productions in the first place, but instead bought the exclusivity to Death Stranding. So honestly, I don't think that they want to do that, but it would still probably make Sony fans really mad. So I'd say probably a 5 or 6. What about you, Sean?
Out of 10? Dude, if it came like 10 out of 10, 11 out of 10 slaps to the face of upsetness. Who publishes it was Death Stranding. I'm going to do this cuz I don't normally get to do this while I'm driving. But like who published it on PC? Do you remember?
It was 505 Games.
So that's okay. It's possible, maybe, because it's not like a Sony thing, I don't think, at least on PC. I wonder if this game could come to Game Pass. If Death Stranding could come to Game Pass on PC. I think that's maybe as far as we go. But like, man, like everybody was quick to point out he's got a Switch on there. He's got like a picture of his family. It's like, and it's like clearly Xbox is buying families now and they're buying Nintendo. I don't know, but the placement was kind of strange, wasn't it? It was like right beside. It was
literally right next to the X. Yeah.
So probably an epic troll, though, in short, is my answer. Probably an epic troll. So good for Phil.
Yeah,
mess with everybody.
I'm not making any of this for that, but it was just funny scrolling through Twitter all day and looking at the conspiracy theories.
But also wait for fans to go, or fanboys to go like, oh, we're getting Death Stranding, like, suck it. And they'll be the same people who were crapping all over the walking simulator, the FedEx delivery guy about a year and a half ago. Yeah.
For sure, my friend. All right, we got to go. But before we go, Sean, plug.
You can find me on Twitter at Sean Capri, Sean like Connery, Capri like the pants. And if you like what we do here, I really encourage you guys to go to patreon.com/YumiCapri, just like Dallas Robbins just did, to become a gold member, our latest gold member. Thank you, Dallas Robbins, and everybody else over at patreon.com/YumiCapri.
Dallas, you rock.
You rock.
As for me, you can find me on Twitter at Ryan Turford. That's TURFORD, because everybody always asks. You also find us on Twitter at The Xbox Drive, at YouTube at youtube.com/The Xbox Drive, and on podcast services around the globe. So for Sean Capri, I'm Ryan Turford. This has been episode 179 of The Xbox Drive, and we out. Bye.
Give me that Death Stranding right now. Bye.